Okay, my question is, now that we have revealed the Reverse Flash twice, or time looped and untime looped and wherever, are you clear where everything lies once we've reset time now? And are you clear on how much information your character has as opposed to everybody else and all of that?
That is an interesting question because, you know, there was at one point where I looked around and I was like, but does Caitlin know? You know, as an audience member and a viewer myself, I sometimes have more information than Caitlin does. So I did have to pause for a minute and be like, wait, no, Caitlin doesn't fully know everything yet. You know, he's still, by episode 19, you're going to really see her struggle with what's going on with Dr. Wells as Barry and Joe start to bring that information forward.
Are you familiar with the character story in the comic and how there's a big difference, which I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, the character in the comic has a very different route that she takes, which is
my character, yes. Caitlin Stowe,
yeah,
to become Killer Frost.
Yeah, I don't want to mention that. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But.
Well, too late. I did it.
Okay, so
I am aware of Killer Frost. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that's been sort of teased to me since I signed on to the show. So it's exciting, you know. And I think you're going to see a glimpse of her sooner than you think.
So this last week, it seemed like Caitlin did a lot of just sort of sitting around, and is that something? She seemed very sort of passive in the last episode that aired Tuesday. Is that something that's going to change? She had her thing with Robbie, and now we're kind of moving into Robbie. Like there's just sort of like a lull for your character before. I mean,
the reality is this is an ensemble show, and I've been very lucky, you know, episodes 12, 13, 14 really heavily featured the Caitlin storyline, and then it was time for, you know, there was a Cisco storyline. So we all sort of take turns, and, you know, quite frankly, when you're shooting 23 episodes, it's nice to delve into everybody's a little bit more. So yes, she hasn't been quite as active, but she will be very soon.
How is that dynamic for you to explore with having Ronnie be brought back, where, you know, because she started off so, like, hurt and cold, no pun intended, you know, and then, you know, to have that come back and basically, like, breathe life back into who the character was?
It's so fun because it gives me such a range to play with. You know, when you see her in the pilot, to where you see her sort of in the middle of the season when Ronnie's come back, to where she'll be in the finale. It's so great because I really feel like I'm on this journey with her, and it is a real person who's evolving. It's been really fun.
How is it working with Victor Garber?
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. It's so cool. I will say I lost it in front of him when we were shooting. I think it was one of either episode 13 or 14. Like, he's such a wonderful person and so funny, and I love his sense of humor, and I just lost it at one point. It's so cool. And then he just sits around casually talking about, you know, when we shot Titanic and James Cameron this, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm here. It's really cool.
What can you tease us about the rest of the season?
What can I tease you about the rest of the season? Well, I mean, as an audience, we're really discovering more about the Reverse Flash and Harrison Wells, and obviously that has a huge impact on Caitlin and Star Labs. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens as, you know, Barry and Joe find out more, and then as they sort of share that with the rest of the team and how everyone reacts to it. And then there's some crazy stuff happening. Have you guys seen the teaser trailer? Grodd. I mean, all-star team up. You're going to see Adam come to Central City very soon. There's so many exciting things happening.
What were your thoughts when you had to do the karaoke episode?
Oh, it was so fun. So lucky. I laughed a little bit because everybody on the cast is an excellent singer except me. I'm completely tone deaf. And I laughed. I was like, of course, you give the one person who cannot sing this first singing moment. But it was actually so fun. Grant and I had such a great time shooting that together. Like, it was so cool. And to see drunk Caitlin, someone who's so buttoned up and so uptight, to really get to see her let loose is fun.
We need to see more of that.
I agree. Tell Andrew.
Are they? I've seen a couple of scenes, especially when you're talking about the drunk Caitlin scene. It seemed like the writers were kind of maybe teasing the idea of Caitlin and Barry. Like maybe.
Maybe, definitely, maybe. I mean,
are you on board with that, or is that something you're like, yeah, let's do that?
I trust our writers so much, and I love the direction that they're taking everything in. So it would be fun to play that out. You know, there's a lot going on. Hopefully we have a long time to keep, exploring these relationships and see what happens with them.
What is your take on the fact that a lot of the female characters, well, there's not as many female leads as there are male leads, and then a lot of times they're not really getting to interact with one another, and so, I mean, if you want to, it doesn't always pass the Bechdel test or whatever, I don't know, not to be critical, because I love the show, but, can we tease more content of female interaction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Caitlin's the only female in Star Labs right now, which I actually love, and I love that they didn't just make it an all-male world, and that she stands on her own and she contributes in a very specific, very important way. And I love that she's there. The reality is that Iris doesn't know that Barry's the Flash yet, so, any interaction between the two of them, as we saw, was it 16 or 17 with the lightning psychosis? They're sort of living in it's like Barry's Flash life and Barry's Barry life, and they live in two different worlds, but that will change. That will change this season, and you'll get to see some Iris and Caitlin time together.
How advanced of scripts do you guys get? So it's like season or episode by episode?
We started filming the season finale on Monday, about 6 days ago, and we got that script at about 5 p.m. on Friday. So, it's the end of the season, so, things are getting a little bit more backed up. At the beginning of the season, we do get a little bit more notice, a little more time to prep, but it's the end of the season.
And just in terms twisted, the whole, Professor Wells, or, all that stuff, how far in advance did you guys know?
The specifics of the Professor Wells twist, I don't think I knew until shortly before they were shooting it. So they keep it pretty close. People want us to be able to tell them what's happening next. It's really, we're an audience member in a lot of ways too, because we're, on this journey with you guys and just waiting to see what Andrew and Greg and the writers come up with. So, yeah, sometimes it's a long time.
And then, do you ever have a difficult time with some of the vernacular?
All the time. I practiced the word carotid artery. I practiced it wrong when I was learning my lines, and so it comes time to shoot, and I don't even remember what I said because I had to drill it out of my brain. But yes, all the time. And I'm on dictionary.com phonetically trying to sound it out. I try.
Well, you do well.
Thanks.
One last one.
Can you tease any more action or whatever? Because we've seen Cisco started to come into his own he got his little brief moment of physicality.
Yes, against Pied Piper. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. In 19, there's some great scenes where I got to work with the stunts guys, and in 22, there's some great stunts moment, which is exciting for me. I love that stuff. The boys get to do the majority of it, but it's really cool when we get involved too.